Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Party Invite Show. I'm your host, Tegan. I'm joined by Vilos.
That's me.
And the two of us are your party leaders today. As usual, we've got a show in two parts. We've got the podcast segment. That's our Blissin' Up, our what we've been playing, and our party topic for this week. And then game stream afterwards. This week's game stream is going to be Baldur's Gate. You'll also hear me talk about that and what we've been playing. But because I'm so excited about it right now, and I'll be playing it for a while, I wanted to get a little footage on stream so people can see what I'm talking about. I am at the very beginning of the game, in case anybody's worried about spoilers. I'm very close to the beginning, so it's very unlikely that you'll see anything that would be considered a spoiler, but I just want to throw that out since I myself am very sensitive about spoilers. Okay, well, so what do we do here? Here at Party Invite, we want to make you smile, right? We want to talk about games, we want to play games together. We just generally want to provide a good space online for you to hang out in. The internet's a tricky place, you know? So,
Hashtag non-toxic space.
Yes. Yeah, because there are plenty of places to talk about games, but boy, they are often unfriendly or unmoderated. You know, pick your poison, you know? But with that in mind, let's start off the show with our Blissin' Up segment. Let's talk about something that made us smile. If you want to tell us about something that made us smile, you can always let us know here in Twitch chat, on YouTube when this is released, usually the following Monday or Tuesday. You can also let us know in our Discord. We have a Blissin' Up channel. We are always looking for things that we can, that can make us smile, but also that we can read on the show. That could be anything gaming related or otherwise. Well, Vilos, let's put the ball in your court first. What's something that made you Blissin' Up?
Oh, it's been a little bit of a wait, but it's a combination of two things here. So, I out of nowhere got this nice little. I've never heard of Klim, but I think they're Swedish, perhaps, or something. I got this little CD player, a portable CD player in 2023. Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I mean, not only is it the transparent tech that we like to see, as gamers, but it's like it feels like it's obviously thicker than a CD, but it's almost the exact size of the CD. Look at the actual CD in there and how tiny this thing actually is. It's so great, and it's so awesome. I cannot recommend it enough. This is like the number one CD player that you'll find on Amazon.
So it's not the Walkman, it's a Walklim.
yeah, Walkmans are literally not a thing anymore. So
I would be more likely. I mean, I have CDs. I still have a CD case. I would listen to CDs. I think I'd be more likely to if I had what you're holding than even if I had the ability to play it in my car.
This thing is a little bit more expensive than I expected. I think this was $45 or $50.
Okay, well, that's the price of functional nostalgia.
But that is like the average price on Amazon for these, and there are a lot of cheaper versions that are obviously cheaper, and like the reviews are telling you, don't get them. But this one so far has been awesome. Yeah, it recharges. It recharges in full in like less than 3 or 4 hours. I'm pretty sure, and you can easily get like 6 to 8 hours of playtime in it. Mm-hmm. And there's got cool features and shit I'm not going to go into, but the reason I got it though, let's see if you see. You can't really tell what it says there, but the reason I got it is because I got my Xenoblade Chronicles Trinity box.
Oh,
this is the nearly $200 soundtrack collection that I had been waiting for since late April.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
It's fucking 20 CDs across technically 6 games.
Wow.
I mean, really, like, this is my favorite purchase in a long time. It's made me very happy so far. I've listened to like every disc, by the way, is like an hour or so, and I've listened to at least 6 or 7 of them in this past few days.
Do you play them all at the same time so you can maximize how much?
If only. The big thing is that it does go in play order of the games, so it's like listening to them in order is like playing through each of the games in order, and it's an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. That CD player is awesome. Like these earbuds are really nice that came with the CD player, so good combination there of things that I got this week. And I also found out that the PS5, if you didn't realize, doesn't fucking play music CDs. Like, what?
What? I mean,
It
I didn't
doesn't
try.
play music CDs. Yeah, but it should.
Yeah, shouldn't it?
Like, for
What's
all intents and purposes, it should, but it does not. So, yeah,
does it
that's
play
that's why.
Blu-rays? Is
Yeah, it plays Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays, and that's literally all you can do with it, I guess, disc-wise.
man,
I don't know why. There's some
I don't know how any
technical
of that.
thing they didn't do.
I don't know how that stuff works, but seems like the idea of like backwards compatibility with a CD player would just work, you know. I mean,
Yeah, you'd
obviously I
think.
haven't tried it, so like it doesn't come up for most people. I think that's why neither of us has heard about it until now, but that just seems like it should. I don't know. But that is a sick collection. That is really cool.
I am extremely happy with it, and even though it literally came from Procyon Studio, which is Yasunori Mitsuda's studio himself, like they did the manufacturing like from the studio, uh, and it's wild to see because that never happens. Like they're always these warehouses that make all these CDs. Like I am 8-bit, just as a factory of bullshit, pumping out vinyls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this is all directly from the studio. It's really cool, straight from Japan. It took once it shipped, it took less than 3 days to get it from through FedEx. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
got it for $185, right?
As you do.
eBay, the assholes at eBay are already trying to put it up for $600 and $700.
That's good.
It's ridiculous. So if
That's
you're
like
trying to get it now, you're done. Sorry.
when I asked you in chat the other day about the Constellation edition of Starfield. I was
Oh
like,
yeah, the console.
I just like I didn't make a, I thought it was really cool and I wanted to get it, but I just forgot. I just didn't do it. Uh, and now it sounds like I can't do it, which is honestly okay. If I cared that much, I should have just pulled the trigger because I could have, but I just put it off. But you're saying it's like $500 resale online right now, which yeah, that's not worth it
Easily.
to me. So I just will condition myself to not care because if I can't change it, then I got to change how I feel about it. You know.
Just keep tabs on like Jabari, see if he gets bored with it.
That's not a bad idea. I'll be like, hey, Jabari, you gotta buy the new
What's that
Sonic
bot's treating you?
merch, right? Like, trade me so you can afford that. No, but that's great. Yeah, I love that collector stuff. Chad, if you guys have a favorite item that you've bought, like some collector's thing that's one of your favorite things to show off on your stream or your shelf, or to show off to friends who come over, let us know about that. I always like to hear what the one thing is that people really prize they've got. I don't even know what mine would be, to be honest. I'd have to think about it some more, but I'm also not that big of a collector, but people surprise you. I mean, Lord Chrome, Jubari, who we mentioned, he got the Constellation Edition of Starfield with the dope controller, one of the coolest looking controllers I've ever seen. Um, and another controller, was it a Sonic? I want to say it was Sonic something. I want to say it
I
was
think it
another
was the
Sonic
Sonic
controller.
Sonic Xbox controller. Yeah.
And so I love seeing those because those just like fit. Like I could have guessed those if I would have bet money that those would have been the two IPs, if you hadn't told me. But I love that. Let's see. So if I have a Blissin' Up, I mean, things are pretty cool right now. Oh, we went to see a couple bands at the Gorge, which is a really pretty amphitheater, a natural amphitheater out here in Washington. We went to see the band Boy Genius and Carly Rae Jepsen. It was a good show, and the crowd was actually good. As I've been very vocal about, crowds here in Seattle are not good. They're not good at all. But that show and a couple others we've been to lately were fortunately very different. They were real shows with people who were actually excited to be there. So that makes such a huge difference. And the show was a good time. We camped out and stuff. And we're about to enter wildfire season. Like there are currently fires burning. That there's at least one that's probably going to burn until the rainy season, which is like 3 months away. So not looking forward to that. But we did get some uncharacteristic rain here earlier this week, which like rain here in August doesn't happen. So that's pretty cool. So this week was a great time to be outside. It still feels okay out right now, but it's kind of muggy, which also doesn't happen very often around here. But yeah, I mean, great weather. I love being outside, and I was happy to see the gorge um, before it gets too smoky and hazy in Eastern Washington. So happy about that. Looking forward to going out there again. I'm really hoping that uh, because it's like away from the city. It's the same reason I like going to music festivals is that the people who go to things like that go there on purpose. It is inconvenient to go to those things. So when people work hard to go to them, it's because they care. And because they care, they're better audience members. So I'm hoping that every time I go to see a show at the Gorge, that it's more likely to have a good crowd. So fingers crossed, but that was a good time, you know. We got some other concerts coming up too. I'll tell you about them after I've been to them, you know. But yeah, one this Friday and another one next Friday. Looking forward to them. Okay, well, enough blissing up. Let's talk about some video games. You ready for that? Huh? Huh?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know if I can do that.
Well, we don't have to. We could
Oh,
just talk about something else. I could keep talking about the weather. People usually like that. Um,
nah, man. You're doing games.
okay, well, let's talk about some games. So, I mentioned that our game tonight is going to be Baldur's Gate 3. So, I'm definitely going to talk about that here in a minute, but I'm going to leave. I didn't prepare a video this time just because we're about to see it. You're about to find some more of that or watch some gameplay. Um, so, I'll talk about Baldur's Gate in just a minute, but I want to say the honorable mentions of what I have continued to play. This week's Monday roguelike stream, I continue to play Dave the Diver. I'll probably be playing Dave the Diver indefinitely on Mondays, uh, because it doesn't seem like the end is anywhere in sight for me. And the wonderful bite-sized chunk of game that you get every time you play that is perfect for what I'm looking for. Um, for those who haven't heard me talk about it before, Dave the Diver is a game that came out about a month or so ago. That to me was pretty much out of nowhere. It got like 9 out of 10s from a bunch of different review outlets, and I would say it's a 9 out of 10 for me personally. This is a game where you play as Dave the Diver, and you need to jump into this big blue hole, this giant place in the ocean that every time you go in it, it's different because of course it is. And so you have your scuba gear, which you catch fish, and then you sell those fish as sushi at night in your restaurant, and then you use that money to upgrade your restaurant, to upgrade your suit, to do a bunch of different things. It's just got this really great gameplay loop to it. I'm loving it. So the fact that you have your day in that game is morning, evening, and night. And night is usually, like for me so far, night is almost always for selling sushi and running your shop, which is a really fun part of the game. Honestly, it's like almost the most fun, and I wish there was more of it, but also the game, like one of the strongest parts about the game is it's constantly changing mechanics, literally always. So I think the fact that there's never quite enough of the things that you want, but then you're always moving on to something else that you want more of, um, is really the strongest point of that game. Like you're constantly doing a new thing. Even though the dives I'm on have gotten pretty long, so I'm trying to intentionally change that. I'm trying to, instead of going in and min maxing those dives, I'm trying to just go in and kind of cruise and chill about it because the game is relaxing. It doesn't have a lot of like time limits or pressure to do really anything. So anyway, that went well. I caught and sold 1 million jellyfish. It was great. They told me in chat that I've gone mad with jellyfish power, and I think they're right. But that's great. You'll see more of Dave the Diver on Mondays. If you, whether or not you like roguelikes, this is one of the most accessible games I've ever played in this genre, um, because it has so few uh, pressure points. It's almost never making you do anything you don't want to. So it's great. That's Dave the Diver. I've also been playing Darkest Dungeon 2. The game continues to rock. I got to the final boss in the second difficulty, which is how I'm gonna phrase it. You fight a different boss for every time you play like a new difficulty. And so once you beat the first one, you unlock the second one. So I'm on the second like quest, which Has a bunch of other things unlocked, more powerful enemies, new areas. You go through 3 different regions before you reach the boss, where in like the first difficulty you only go through 2 regions before you fight the boss. Anyway, I was doing really, really well. Got to the final boss, and I just made a mistake, and I missed hitting a damage threshold I needed by 1 point on an enemy that has 200 health. I missed it by 1 point, and terrible things happened, and I never recovered, and I died. So that was unfortunate. But beautiful thing about that, just like Dave the Diver, win or lose, you still take something with you afterwards. So it's really a rogue light. So in Darkest Dungeon's case, I got whooped by the final boss, but I took a ton of candles home with me, and those candles allow you to permanently upgrade yourself. So
Literally a consolation prize, just like yay.
well, yeah. And Dave the Diver, if you run out of oxygen, you can only take 1 thing home, which is like basically nothing. At least in Darkest Dungeon, you only lose like a small fraction, maybe 10%, maybe, of the candles that you were holding. So really, like dying in Darkest Dungeon is just a part of the game. It's just something you need to expect. And there's rarely a reason not to always keep going until you die. Because it's almost always worth it. Like by the time you die, you'll have accrued extra candles for the risk that you took. But anyway, I'm really liking that game too. It definitely, now that I have a better understanding of it, it's not nearly as hard as I made it out to be. You just have to be very intentional and pay attention. That's really all there is to it. But enjoying that. Hopefully one of these days, since I'm not going to play that on Mondays, certainly not as often, I'll do most of that off stream and probably just update you guys here. But those are my other 2 games. The game I've really been playing is Baldur's Gate 3. So, Baldur's Gate 3. Didn't really care about it until last week when it came out.
Until everybody's like, Thomas, D&D.
Bro.
And you're like, oh my god.
No, actually, when people tell me about D&D, like, usually that's not, like, I think D&D is cool. I think role-playing games are cool. I have had a lot of fun playing a different tabletop game that is not D&D. So that wasn't really a big enough selling point. I thought it was cool, and it certainly made me understand the systems a lot more, because I have a general understanding. I mean, I've played some D&D, but I didn't know just how much actual D&D 5th edition that this is, which meant that when I did load up the game after seeing friends play, I've watched Odysseus in our community. I've watched him play Pathfinder, which is another offshoot of D&D. I've watched him play that. And then I've heard a lot of people talk about Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, which are made by Larian Studio, the same one as Baldur's Gate. And I've seen that one, but it never piqued my interest. I didn't pay super close attention, but I think just at the time in my life when I saw that game, it just didn't seem very interesting to me. Now that I have a better understanding of what these games are, and I've kind of changed in what I'm interested in as far as like role-playing characters. When you guys know me, even when I'm talking about Starfield, I love or Skyrim, I love brainstorming ways that I can role-play my character outside of the mechanics of the game. So, we saw the woman in the Starfield Direct, I bring it up a lot, who was collecting the sandwiches. Well, that's me. I love making dumb rules for myself that I have to follow, that change the way I play, that make my run totally unique from anyone else's. So the decision making and character creation in Baldur's Gate really stood out for me. So the other day, I spent a couple hours in the character creator. Boy, you can just customize the heck out of your character. So I made a nature-loving cleric who she's a half wood elf, so she can wield like spears and halberds and long range weapons that I like. Y'all seen me play Elden Ring. I was a healer with a halberd, so I'm basically doing that again. And I'm really enjoying it. So I'm at the beginning of the game. Some fun mishaps were during the tutorial. I blew up an explodey barrel and killed the very first like named character that I met. Oops. Lazel, I think is her name. Yep, I didn't know how big the explosions would be. Now I do. And I save scummed real quick. I was in Discord chat with everybody, and I don't like save scumming. Good for you if you like that, but just don't. I like living with my consequences and seeing what'll happen. But I was like, this seems like a very main character. Guys, should I re-roll? Or, should I reload my save? And everyone very quickly was like, yes, absolutely. Do that right now. And I'm glad I did. But yeah, immediately blew up the first friend I made. And then last night's session, I found a bunch of traps. It's never a good sign when you touch something and then the game is like, you hear like a clock ticking and the game is like, hey, you've automatically entered turn-based mode. Because when you're out of combat, usually you just free roam, nothing matters, the time doesn't matter. You can turn on turn-based mode, which is great if you're trying to like stealth somewhere or like catch a patrolling enemy while they're in this area you want, so it's really useful for that. But yeah, it automatically went into slow mo, and I was like, well, that's not good. And then everything exploded. There was fire everywhere. Suddenly, two of my people were on the ground. Funny thing is that my named character died. She died outright. But it's not a game over if just your character dies. It's only a game over if your whole party dies. So, I could have just lived with that and been like, well, my character just it was not in the cards, she was not fated to survive, and I could just keep playing on with the origin characters, the named ones who have motivations, the ones you see on like the box art and stuff. I could have just played on with them and left my character's dead body behind, but I thought that was really interesting that that it wasn't a game over just by my character dying. So yeah, there seem to be so many ways that you can play this game, where it's essentially as much role playing as you want, and however creative you want to be is, what you give is what you're gonna get. So I love that element. I love that element that the more I want to give to this game, the more that I can give back, because it means if I ever decide to replay this game, I'll be that much more well prepared to either win efficiently or to just do really dumb creative crap. You know how it is. So, uh, so yeah, so I've been playing all of those, and you'll hear me at least bring those up again during the party topic, because I'm playing all of those, and I don't see any end in sight for any of those games. I'm a long way away from rolling credits on any of those, and Starfield's not even out yet. So, R.I.P. my free time, you know. But that's what I've been playing. We got a lot of people in our Discord playing right now, and playing Baldur's Gate right now, and I'm hoping to actually play some co-op, to make a co-op mission together. I'll probably talk more about what the co-op is next week, because I've already talked. I've already pretty much used up my allotted time here. Um, but I'll talk about that next week. I will say, if you are interested in co-op like I am, there's a great article that you can find in our Discord. I'll link it here in chat, that explains what the Baldur's Gate 3 co-op is. I highly recommend reading it if you're even remotely interested in doing that, because unlike most games, Baldur's Gate isn't obviously better in either single player or co-op. They're just different. So I would read that before you start any campaign, so that you don't waste your own time by accidentally starting a campaign that you're not gonna finish. So those are great. Yeah, and I'll briefly talk about those again later. But Vilos, let's hear what you've been playing. What you've been up to.
Yeah, and this was really partially last week to this week. Dordogne, the game that we played on stream a couple weeks ago. I kind of had to finish it because I knew that it was a short game on the short side, and man, it turned out even better than I anticipated. Better than the part that we played on stream. It's a really beautiful game, and as you guys know, I'm really about games that explore like plots about grief, and human connections and stuff like that. And that's what the entirety of that game was about, where your main character is in Dordogne, and she's basically just remembering things about her young self, and unveiling this mystery between herself and her grandma, and her dad, and Dordogne, the place, this familial home that her grandma actually is passing down to her. And as you see the video here, this game is strikingly gorgeous. Just the entirety of the game, the whole time, everything is so pretty. I'm sure on Switch it would play very well, just because there are some little things that worked really well with the mouse, but I'm sure are really great on a touch screen. As you can see, there's this section where she's making noise to find this neighbor kid that she met and she's having adventures with, and she's trying to find him, and so she's yelling, and what you're doing is basically flinging this word out into the distance, and you end up finding him, so you can go hang out with this kind of trash kid.
Like I hope you yelled trash to him. You're like, "Hey, trash kid!" And he's like, "You ready?"
Yeah.
What's the word for trash in French?
We actually should figure that one out.
We should figure that one out. This game, as soon as you started it, because we streamed it, because Dordogne is the name of the river. The stream. Anyway, as soon as we started it up, I saw little things that I recognized that I liked from What Remains of Edith Finch, which is a game that, if you like walking simulators, which I say with love in my heart, that is one of the best ones. It is a game that has all of these mechanics where, we were recently having a conversation in Demo Duo's Discord, our friends over at Demo Duo, you can watch them on Twitch, about preferences with story, and how like some games will tell a story in only cutscenes or in only gameplay, and different people like things in different ways. Well, Edith Finch and this game are ones where all of the storytelling happens with actual gameplay. I don't mean like in Baldur's Gate, some of the gameplay is you having a dialogue and then you select an option and then you hear people speak. That's fine. But in this game, it's like you said, you're like throwing the words out, like the words appear on the screen and you'll click them and they'll do certain things. Sometimes you're selecting if you want to be sharp to your grandma, have like a quick response, or if you want to be resignated or resigned. That
works.
It's that the gameplay is the story, and the story is the gameplay at all times. Like there's never really a time where you're not using your own agency in whatever's happening on screen. And it's hard for me. I have trouble articulating what sets games like this and Edith Finch apart from other games, because plenty of games fit that description. But it is something special where, actually, I'm going to play the other video, if that's cool.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous part.
It's so good. You just have all of these mechanics and environments that are constantly changing, and they're gorgeous. And this game is entirely watercolor, hand drawn in watercolor. So there's never a time where the screen isn't gorgeous to look at. And you mentioned it would be a good game on Switch. I think games with really vibrant color palettes are the best on Switch. And even though, of course, I say vibrant, we're looking at like dark blues and stuff, but it's very pretty. And yeah, so the two videos that are here that we're watching are both in the second half of the game, which we didn't have on stream, so they're new to me. But on stream we saw you exploring the house that you were in. Near the end, you explored near the actual river, and saw all these new mechanics of movement and just like walking around in the trees and walking around in the town and all of this. But
yeah, in this bit here, you're actually getting these letters that you have collected across the years, as technically as both a kid and an adult. But you get a couple of these letters back then and a couple letters as an adult. It's a thing. But you're kind of picking these letters back up here because something kind of traumatic just happened in this point in the game, and the letters are directly correlate to your grandfather's death and this kid that you just befriended.
Trash kid.
And trash kid. And it just all comes together in such a perfect little package, that it's just it's kind of a must play, especially if you have Game Pass. Like you're not wasting anything playing this game on Game Pass. And as I said, like it's hyper linear. Like it's just linear, but there are a lot of achievements in it that are like fill out pages in your binder, take 10 or 20 photographs in the game, find all the audio tapes or whatever. And I am pretty good at keeping up with those things during a completion of a game. And technically, I've got to go back and probably play through it like twice as long just to be a completionist about it. Um, there's a surprising amount of little things in the game to collect and get that feel if you're a completionist. If you actually want it to be longer than 5 hours, but it's perfectly bite sized, beautiful story. Uh, like anybody could play it. It's a very physically accessible game. Uh, I highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, it was a real snack. And, you know, as someone who plays a lot of like procedural or repetitious games, this was a really great one. Like you said, it's very linear. You always have a clear direction, and it's always generally clear what to do. So because of that, you're focusing on just looking around the environment instead of like puzzle solving, you know, which in this case it absolutely works in its favor. Um, yeah, just an absolute snack. I mean, we got through about half of it just on our 2 hour stream, and like if we weren't about to talk about how we have too many games to play, then I would play this one. There's a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, this is the kind of game I would love to watch right now. Like with my gamer diet, I would love to watch someone play all the way through that. Just short and sweet. Again, looks like a great Switch title, if you ask me. But yeah, you played that on Game Pass. So if you've got the Game Pass sub, you can play that for free with an asterisk. But Dordogne, it's Dordogne. It's a French word. And there's lots of little French bits. Because, wait, so that's the name of the town in Paris, right?
Yeah.
Because it's named after the river, yeah. Um, yeah, so it's a great story. So if anybody plays this, let us know. It's pretty cool, you know? Looks good, sounds good, plays good. Okay. Let's see. Well, next we've got our party topic, but Vilas, you ready to take just a few minute break before we transition over there?
I had another
Oh,
game.
you did? Well, I should read the doc. Oh, you did. I
I
thought
don't. I
you
didn't have anything to
misunderstood.
show for it, but I did have another game.
Wow.
Yeah, just a reminder because I didn't take screenshots really of the game because I was really in the moment of it. But another Game Pass game, Venba, just play it. Literally beat it in an hour and 45 minutes, and that was taking it slow. Venba is a beautiful story as well. Another very intimate thing. It's the story of it's really about a child and his growing up from the 80s till the early 2000s, and basically his experience as an Indian immigrant. It's really it's not a culture that we see a lot in games, unfortunately, but it's very to the point as far as the story and the emotions it's trying to tell. The word Venba is actually a type of poem, and also the main character's mother's name. And you like it. It's one of those games that like the story. If you have mommy issues or even daddy issues, if you have some real parental feelings that you need to get out, you need to get those tears going. Oh my god, just get into it. Unfortunately, the game was kind of marketed as a make these Indian recipes in game form. It's really cool. Uh, while that is technically the case, a lot of the gameplay it switches up between visual novel and cooking. It's very straightforward. It's not like a cooking mama game. And in that hour and 45 minutes, I think you technically cook maybe five, six different items. Um, it is a pretty cool situation and how it works. As at the beginning of the game, there's always a reason why you have to cook. Like for example, Venba is trying to get the father in the story to eat. He's just working his ass off every day, and he's trying to get a job to make it in America, right? um, he's trying his best to make it in America. They're a poor family that came from India. They gave up everything to raise this little boy, and it's so heart wrenching. But every chapter, there's a reason to cook, and you have at the start a very basic recipe that your grandma had passed down to your mother, Venba, and with every recipe, as you would expect, it's a gorgeous old book, and like everything's either vague or information's completely missing, or as the kid realizes he's not familiar with the Tamil language that his mother grew up with, and so like half of the recipes are in Tamil, and he's just like, I don't know how to do this, and you get that experience throughout the game, and it's very trial and error with some of the recipes, but it's really cute, and it's a good idea that pushed further would be amazing. But it's more of a bite-sized game than Dordogne, and again, it's a really beautiful story. I'm not going to spoil things, but it's just about emotion and family. And if that's something that you haven't tried in games before, that's Venba is a really good entry point.
Yeah, if you want stories about emotion and family, first there's Fast and Furious. Right after that, a close second is Venba. Very different though. Don't get them mixed up. That's awesome. Yeah, two bite-sized, very beautiful indie titles. And what is Venba on Game Pass?
Hell yes, it is.
Hell yeah. And how long was that one to beat? That one's only like 3 hours to beat, right?
That was 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Okay, well there
2
you go.
hours if you're going for extra achievement.
Nice.
That's about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well there's thanks Odysseus for putting up that timer. Our Twitch bot says that we have sung the praise of Game Pass 77 times now, and we know that we've missed many. You know, that number would be much higher, but both the good games. Big recommendations on those. Especially if you're looking for like a palate cleanser. See what I did there? Huh? Vilos, did you get it? Is this thing on?
Is it about food?
You know, I think it's about time we took that break. No, so let's take a quick little break before our party topic, and we will be right back. While we were on break, and I refilled my water, reminder to hydrate or dihydrate. We found even more games to add to our list of games that we don't have time for right now. Oh man, it's unreasonable. So, without any further ado, let's jump into our party topic of the games, the sheer volume of games that we have right now. Vilos, you are more succinct with reading off the party topic. Could you do the honors?
Yeah. I have a whole thing here. So, 2023 has become one of the most packed years for gaming releases, and we just have not had the time to keep up with the games we want to play. Obviously, earlier this week we didn't get to talk about it. We honestly should have talked about it in Discord or whatever. But Devolver had a 3-minute showcase just a couple days ago. That was a direct for the delays that they have. And I finally watched it last night, and the jokes were just fucking fun. Like it's so funny. It was so typical Devolver, but they made a point to basically say that a couple of their most popular, most wanted games are being delayed till next year. For anybody that's interested, The Plucky Squire, Skate Story, and Angerfoot, which was one that we demoed earlier this year. They were all part of those games that were delayed by Devolver. But, you know, we are exhausted. We have played a shit ton of games, right? And there's still enough to go to sustain us by far. But today's party topic is what games releasing this year are going to be titles we play in 2024 instead.
Yep. Yeah, so a little bit of a look at, you know, what we're playing now that's holding us off, which I mostly just mentioned during my what we've been playing. But I'll say those again. But then all of the upcoming releases, whether they have release dates this year, or a few of them. I mean, we're in the tail end. We're 3/4 of the way through the year, and some games still don't even have formal release dates yet. I mean, that would tell me that maybe they're going to get delayed. Who knows? Based on the studios anyway. Sometimes people just suddenly release things and they're like, hey, it's available in the wild. But I think more often than not, stuff might get delayed. And like you said, that seems okay right now. There's just too much on all of our plates. I felt like coming off of the not E3 this year, which also included Devolver. Um, there's so much. There's too much. I mean, we had a whole party topic. We had a whole episode that was just about specific coverage of our favorite things from the entire like 5 days of almost nonstop trailers, it felt like. And even then, we still, even when each of us only brought 2 or 3 things a piece from the whole weekend, we still had, we couldn't cover everything we wanted. And there's too many things that were interesting and we're excited for whether or not we'd play them. But I feel like I don't even look at release dates the way that I used to anymore. Like now, I almost don't look at upcoming games at all. So if a friend asks me, like what are you excited for? Like what games are you going to be buying soon? Usually my answer is I have no idea. Because sometimes the games that I like a whole lot, I don't build hype for them like Baldur's Gate. A week before release, I didn't care about that game, and then I did. Last year, Elden Ring came out, and I didn't care about that game until the day it released, and I watched people play it, and I loved it. So, like, when we were getting ready for this party topic, and you dropped the link to, I think it's IGN. I'll pull it up here. We use it, Polygon. We use it throughout the year to see what's coming up because it's too much to keep track of on our own. And I saw some things I'd forgotten about, some things I remembered. Um, but y'all, it's so much. Please tell us what is on your list of upcoming games, please. And if you guys here in chat tell us before the end of the show, I'll definitely read them off. But let's start, Vilos. Let's start with what we are playing. I don't need to talk much. I'll just say the ones I already said for the sake of wrapping them up. Dave the Diver going to be playing for a while. Darkest Dungeon 2, and then I'm just barely even started on Baldur's Gate. That is all on my plate now, and Starfield comes out in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. What am I gonna do? I don't have enough time for all that.
Really don't.
I really don't. So those are really what I think of as the rest of my 2023. Maybe I'll sneak some bite-sized things in there. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll play Vinba, like that you mentioned. It's so short and sweet that I could sit down. Actually, offhandedly, do you know if that's on PlayStation? I know we said it's on Game Pass.
I think it's actually on everything. Yeah. I think it would be $20 on pretty much everything, $15 or $20. But still a worthwhile experience, no matter what.
Well, I think I need those little small ones in my diet right now because I'm just going to be playing the same 4 games for
Probably better on Switch though.
4 months. You're right.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes, I will get that on Switch. Um, so anyway, that's what I've been playing. That's my 2023. I just wanted to get that out of the way before we look at the things that I cannot play. Vilos, what's on your plate right now or for 2023 before we get to before you get to everything else?
Bruh.
Bruh.
I've been thinking about it a lot, and that's why I played these 2 short games very quickly. So I'm at officially I've completed 19 games this year, a fair amount.
That's like
That's
18 more games than me.
that's less than I did at this point last year, though. And the big thing there is that my JRPG gauntlet, I have 8 to still play,
You can do it.
but yeah, in less than 4 months. But the good thing is, I have been playing them, and part of it, I'm trying not to fudge the JRPG side of it. Like, but at the same time, there have been some arguments, some discussions about JRPGs and what they mean across the gaming sphere. So right now, one JRPG, Final Fantasy 16. I've still got about 30 hours to go. But that one's my priority right now. I think Tears of the Kingdom, very close second priority. But then it gets into the rest of the year, and I know the things that I really want slash have to play. The next game up is Sea of Stars, coming out in less than 2 weeks. That's another JRPG, right? Starfield's after that. Armored Core 6 is like, actually, Armored Core 6 is right after Sea of Stars.
Do you think you're
And
gonna play?
Armored Core, it's like, it's not a JRPG, but it's gonna be a time sink,
For
and then
sure.
it keeps coming from there. Sea of Stars probably 25 hours, maybe 30, since it's an indie RPG. Armored Core, I would expect 40 hours probably. Starfield is right after that. Who knows? I don't think I'm completing Starfield. I'm sure as hell playing
Oh,
it,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
completing no.
Don't
Uh,
just for my sake. Well, for your sake, maybe. Don't
yeah,
even try to beat the game. Just takes a few bites. You know, you don't have to eat the whole feast to have said you're eaten. You know that you've eaten. Please don't even try to beat that game.
yeah, and I mean, like looking at it, and I'm actually going to do the numbers this weekend while I've got some time. I have, listen, I have unlimited PTO. All right,
Whoa,
I have not taken any of that shit. I'm gonna take
it's time.
I'm gonna take some fucking time off, and I just have to find out exactly where. It's probably gonna be like December, so I'll probably end up having like 3 weeks of December off or some shit, and just go
Go
ape shit.
nuts.
But I mean, with the JRPG Gauntlet, so there's I would say I think I'm gonna call it. I think I'm gonna say Tears of the Kingdom is a JRPG. I think I'm just gonna stick with it because honestly, it's more of a JRPG than Final Fantasy 16 is. All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like yeah,
It gets murky.
it,
It gets murky.
it does. But at the end of the day, Sea of Stars and we'll say those two. So that's 3 out of the 8, right? The next one that's really big on my list that I didn't know was coming when I first started the JRPG Gauntlet idea, Super Mario RPG. I never completed that as a kid. I played like a few hours of it as a kid,
Mhm.
but that remake is coming very soon
It's
by the end
happening.
of the year. That's gonna happen. And then it took forever for me to go ahead and say, okay, this is the other big game that I really need to play this year. But I'm gonna finally say Spider-Man 2.
Hey, there we go.
I got my PS5 for a reason,
You know,
and that's one of them
it looks good.
for sure. And yeah,
You
I know
played
I'm
the
gonna
first
enjoy that.
Spider-Man, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
That
Well, you should
the first
definitely do that.
Spider-Man and Miles Morales came out when I was like kind of
Oh my
against open
gosh.
world games for a while, you know?
I hear that.
And now that I got the PS5, it's just
Uh,
fucking on.
well, hey,
All right.
I'll tell you this because it might affect how you choose to play it. Um, you're gonna. Well, I really think you should play the first game. It's I really
I'm
enjoyed
feeling
watching.
Miles Morales.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I watched Lizzie play through most of. I watched my partner play through most of the first game, the OG base game, and it was great. You know, our friend Steve in our community, he regularly says that he kind of it got samey for him, and it kind of got repetitious and stuff. And I also definitely understand that. There's a point in the game where it's just like, okay, there's like for me, my biggest criticism was like, there is literally always a huge massive gunfight in the middle of every street. Like everywhere you go, there's a huge wave. Like there are 30 bad guys and a ton of police officers and stuff. And I'm like, how does anyone live in this city? But whatever. Miles Morales came out right when the PS5 came out, and it was right near wintertime. And in Miles Morales, the setting is right at Christmas and New Year's. It's at the holiday of the year. So I would highly recommend playing it during that time of the year because it really did feel like it felt like Christmas. That just you got Christmas movies. Some are debatable. That game is totally a Christmas game. Um, I don't think 100% of Miles Morales takes place in like winter with snow and stuff. But most of what I remember did, and I think it was really impactful to, like I like to play Skyrim when it's cold out, right? Because it's winter, so I want to go explore the mountains and the snow and stuff. And Miles Morales fit that very well. And I don't hear very many people mention that. So I just wanted to say that because it really affected me. So hopefully, if you need just another excuse to check that out at a certain time, that's my recommendation.
That makes sense. That I like the emotional appeal there. It makes all the sense in the world. But yeah, that's a lot. Like, there's plenty of things that I'm leaving off of this just because I thought about this for the past 2 days since said this topic could be one. Like, I'm still buying a stupid amount of games to not play them this year. Like Pikmin 4, I am gonna play.
Cool.
I have seen that I think you can technically get it done in like 15 to 20 hours. And I feel like that's very doable. But then there's Pikmin 1 and 2, and I kind of want to replay the first one. I didn't play the
Wait,
second one.
Vilos, don't be replaying.
Like,
There's new experiences.
that's the funny
You're
thing, though.
full.
Like I'm gonna have it in the collection, and it's just gonna be eating at me. But yeah, 4 is definitely gonna be played this year. Like Black Friday, I have no idea how that's gonna work. I'm gonna have money, and it sucks because, like, man, I shouldn't have money that time of year, but I really do.
Dangerous.
Yeah, it definitely is. But yeah, that's where I'm at as far as the plan of what I am playing. There's at least 8 JRPGs and these other beautiful
That's
things
like a
sprinkled
made-up
in. All
number.
right.
That's too many. That's entirely too many.
Yeah, I mean 8. So 8 RPGs plus Starfield, Armored Core, Spider-Man. Yeah, so a minimum of 11 games. 8 of those I have to finish, or else my gauntlet is a failed challenge, and
No,
I can't let that happen.
I understand. I will support you. You let me know what you need because I can't believe you. I mean, we are two different people in gaming, and not just in the games that we play, just the fact that you actually complete games. I rarely complete games, either just because I just have trouble, like, not wanting to start a new game that I'm now excited about, but because I also just pick games that are, like, basically unbeatable. Capitalism, the game. You know, so how do you win? Oh, see, that's the funny part. You never do.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I just looked at my backlog document actually, and it's not the hours I played; it's the hours that I played during completion. The four JRPGs I played this year, it's been 126 hours, and so let's double that, but within 4 months.
yeah, you got
God
this.
damn
You
it!
got this. Unlimited
It's gonna be
PTO,
bad.
baby. Take Fridays off every Friday. Um, okay, well, let's see. Let's see. So you've got a bunch of games on this list. You've got the JRPGs you just mentioned. Um, Spider-Man, which I'm excited to see you get to. And like Nerdstead said in chat, I'm gonna echo that. Yeah, you really should play. The more I think about it, you should play the lead up. But I'm gonna say, don't be a completionist. You're a completionist, Vilos, and sometimes don't you cut that out.
That's why I can't do open worlds all that often.
Okay,
Like,
well, check in. What right at the
uh,
end each podcast, I'll be like, okay, tell me what you did, and if you tell me that you did completionist stuff, I'm gonna be like, Mister, what did we
45
say?
side quests.
I went around and I found 50 of the backpacks hidden on rooftops. I'll be like, look, you can't be doing that to yourself. You'll never finish the. You gotta eat. You gotta eat. Well, the food analogy of eating your meat and potatoes before getting to the desserts doesn't work because, like, it is fun to do the side quest completionist stuff, but then you'll never. I guess that is the metaphor. Don't eat all your desserts first because then you'll never finish your meat and potatoes. Got to finish the meat and potatoes, man. Okay, so you've got all this stuff. Let's see. On the list that we have here, something that we both have written down is Remnant 2. Remnant 2 came out. We mentioned it briefly on one of the other shows. That game immediately on its first week blew its previous numbers, the numbers for the first game, completely out of the water. On day one, it had more concurrent players than the peak of Remnant 1. So I know the way I feel about it is that that game looks rad. I had a really good time playing the first game with Sav and Lord Chrome. But we just, scheduling is hard and it just eventually didn't work out and we set it down. The game was really fun, but there were some quality of life issues that never really got fixed. I also remember taking a picture of, this is more for humor than a real serious criticism of the game. But I like to talk about accessibility in games a lot. And one of those one of the easiest things a company can do is make your subtitles good. Um, and I remember one of the ways you make subtitles good, and it's why closed captioning on TV always looks pretty much the same because there's a standard. It's you have like one readable line of dialogue, and then when that's over, you replace it with another line of dialogue. And I took a screenshot in Remnant where this character had a whole monologue just in the background. This you're not talking to him; he just talks while you walk around, and it was like an entire paragraph that took up half the screen. And I looked at it, I was just like, oh my god. You don't see a lot of bad subtitles in modern games, like egregiously bad. But I sure found one there, and it just never got fixed. Like little things like that just never really got improved. Maybe they weren't a priority, and that's okay. The game is still fun to play. But I'm hoping that by waiting to play Remnant 2, that we might see more of those quality of life updates. And I think we're more likely to see them because there's so many people playing. So I'm hoping that in 2024, when I get around to it, that it will be the best version of the game. Maybe there will even be DLC out by then. I don't know. Um, but
Those devs are really about that. Like they really keep up with everything, and I feel like they pushed out a shit ton of updates on the first game.
Yeah. Well, real quick, just because I've got it here, let me tell you the details on that one. Remnant 2 is developed by Gunfire Games, published by Gearbox Publishing. The synopsis on Steam says Remnant 2 pits survivors of humanity against new deadly creatures and godlike bosses across terrifying worlds. I've seen 4 different worlds posted online. They all look very cool. I remember all the biomes in the first game were dope. Play solo or co-op with 2 other people to explore the depths of the unknown to stop an evil from destroying reality itself. Ooh, spooky. But that game has a 3-player squad, which I think is just great. A lot easier to keep track of than a 4-player squad. And that may sound like a small difference, but it really is big. But yeah, I mean, Vilos, I don't know if you and I'll end up playing it together, but certainly there's no shortage of people in our community to play with. I will say that somebody in our community said that the solo version is much more difficult. Um, just because, I mean, the main thing I think I inferred from it is that because there's only one target for enemies to shoot at, and because they spawn pretty randomly on purpose, they can spawn in areas, they can spawn right next to you in a dangerous way where you can't predict it. And you'll just immediately get stepped on. So that's one of those quality of life things that I hope gets improved so that the solo mode is just as playable as the co-op. But I would just keep that in mind. And if you do need somebody to play with, of course, I'm always here. But we got people who would play.
Yeah, definitely. That's part of the reason why Remnant is going to 2024 for me, for sure. Like, I know I'll enjoy it. I absolutely know that, and I know I will enjoy getting into the community with it. And you know what? I'm one of the people that play games first, so we can take a back seat on that. Somebody else can be first on that.
Let's see, what else do we have on here. Let's see, what another one that you've got. Okay, so I haven't seen these words together. This says Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, that's coming in November, and boy, do I want it. I really want to play it. But at the same time, I will absolutely buy it. Like, it's not like it's going to get cheaper in the next several months.
Or
It's
years,
not going to be
probably.
cheaper. Yeah, exactly. So I can buy it November 10th or whatever the fuck day it comes out and just set it down.
Oh, this
Super,
one, I didn't
yeah.
realize this is what this was called.
Yeah, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So it's an absolutely beautiful new rendition of the side-scrolling Mario's. It does a lot of things a little bit differently. So you're basically, I forget what they call them, but the new basically Wonder MacGuffin that you can grab does different things in the world depending on the situation. So like it can make things grow, it can make things shrink, it can turn you into a fucking elephant. But there's also co-op in it. A lot of really cool things happening in this Mario game, and like I put in the doc, I these days I love platformers and I love Mario games, but I just don't play them on release anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not worth it, it's just like, oh, I know that game is fucking amazing. Like it's not going to change my experience either. Like there's nothing to spoil. So um if everybody's like, yo, this is a 99 game on Metacritic, why aren't you playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder? I'm going to be like, because I can literally do it anytime.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to enjoy it, and it'll be fantastic. So yeah, that one's on the back burner. It's going to be a great time when I get into it next year, but it'll sit on my shelf for a little bit.
Yeah, I hear that. And that's okay. There's I will. So Nerd said here in chat. He says, "Not gonna lie, I love low key buying games years later after all the patches, walkthroughs, merch, and DLC comes out, especially when the price drops. But not Nintendo." Um, yeah, I'm with you there. I didn't play FTL until like 6 years after release. I'd been listening to the music a whole lot, but by that time they had come out with DLC for the game. Um, but I was instead playing Into the Breach by those same developers, and by that time, by the time I was done with FTL, Into the Breach had now released DLC. So it was great because I waited. I just had this constant flow of incoming content, which was just wonderful. And yeah, so the dip in price doesn't hurt anything, you know. Um, but yeah, it's wonderful to see games that continue to get support well after release. Because some games just don't ever get that, especially games from really big AAA titles. They can often get away with just not doing it because what else are you going to do? My biggest example of that is the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer that I like to mention. Sure was a lot of fun and had a lot of huge glaring problems, but instead of fixing any of those problems at all, they just kept coming out with new characters to play. And sure, they were fun characters, but like, bro, I'm tired of getting meleeed through a wall. Like, fix that, please. you know. But they're such a big studio that it's just like it's not gonna happen. They just don't care. Um, not to be too cynical about it, but with a lot of these smaller games over time, if they do continue to get support, I mean, look at Stardew Valley is still getting supported. We just recommended Stardew Valley to a friend a few days ago. She didn't know anything about it, but multiple people in her life had told her when she was like, I think my partner and I are looking for a game to play together. Everyone mentioned that game, and it just keeps getting better. We saw that the new Chocolatier, the Chocolate Factory
Yeah,
game.
he fucking delayed that because he's still working on Stardew. Like,
Like,
come on. If the developer's doing that, then yeah, it's gonna be the same for how we
oh,
play it. Yeah.
right. Anyway, off on a tangent there. Super Mario Wonder. If you want to talk about that anymore, I did pull up the video here.
Oh man, I mean, there's nothing much to say. It's just like, look at this damn trailer and tell me if you're gonna play it. You're gonna play it. Yeah,
Right.
like these Mario games are outstanding these days. And I was actually a big fan of the new Super Mario Bros. And that's technically what this is building off of. Is that version, not the regular 3D Mario's, and it just looks absolutely stellar. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it really
actually
does.
got moments that actually look more. I've said actually like 100 times, but it looks a lot more like Sonic.
Yeah. Or Tropical
Wild,
Freeze, DK Tropical
yeah,
Freeze, which was a
yeah,
really good game.
exactly.
I think it
So
was a really good game.
it's funny to see that additional inspiration in a Mario game finally. So this, I mean, they did the weird stuff in this like they normally would with a Kirby game. They
Hmm.
usually decide to just go all out in the crazy with Kirby games, and finally they did it with Mario. This is going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
Um, it's just for me, it's going to wait till 2024. Honestly, it's probably going to be in the game of the year discussion at the end of the year
Yeah.
for a lot of people. So we'll see.
Cool. What else have we got on our list? There's so much. Is there anything you want to focus on here? I can pull up a video if you'd like.
Yeah, let's go to Alan Wake 2 just because it brings up another point of the games that I may or may not play this year. Because you have a scary game on the list, right?
I do.
Um, and so obviously every year, we've got to feel the spooky, and it's very close to that time of year now. And Alan Wake 2 comes out in October, as it should. That's like the whole idea, right? But Alan Wake 2 is going to be a 2024 game for me. I know it's going to be phenomenal. I just know it. But I didn't play through Resident Evil 4 Remake, which I have to do. I
Hmm.
have to get that during Black Friday because that's when it's going to be cheap. It's going to be $25 to $30. All right.
You gotta go into Black Friday knowing exactly what you need. If you go
Yeah.
shopping, you're like, I got money in my pocket. What am I gonna spend on? Oh, I bought
Exactly.
16 games, and none of them were the ones we talked about today.
Exactly. And I know how Black Friday works. I've been a tried and true, almost culty like buyer of things on Black Fridays. So I totally understand how it all works. And Resident Evil 4 Remake is going to be my spooky game this year. So it kind of pushes Alan Wake 2 out of the way. There's also Alone in the Dark, the new Alone in the Dark game that's not exactly a remake coming.
Why do I know that name?
Yeah, it was alongside all the other early 2000s horror games like the Silent Hills and Resident Evils, but Alone in the Dark was a more um, psychological horror slash mystery. And this new game stars David Harbour. It's a very cinematic
Hopper
game.
from
Yeah, good
Stranger
old
Things.
Stranger
Good
Things.
old Hopper.
And that is one that's on my list. I'm probably not actually going to play it, but it is the other game that might replace Alan Wake 2 for me. But at the very least, RE4 Remake is the game that I'm playing for the spook season.
Oh hell yeah!
So sorry,
Season of the
Alan Wake
Spook.
2. Yeah.
Sorry, Alan. Maybe next time. Let's see. So I got the video up, but I'm not even gonna play it. Otherwise, we're never gonna get through everything because we do have a lot of games here. Because you mentioned spooky, I will say one of the
Yeah.
games that I will play this year. We're gonna revisit. We're gonna revisit Inside the Backrooms, which was a game that we really liked, and was genuinely scary. That we played last Halloween. It was a sensation made by, I mean, maybe one person. If not one person, then it was like definitely less than 5 people. I think that it was only one person though. But a really spooky game based on the Backrooms creepypasta, which has like a bunch of entities running around in a maze-like fluorescent lit office environment. If you don't know, if what I'm talking about doesn't make any sense to you, I would just go look up the game Inside the Backrooms or The Backrooms, which is the original spooky content that came out years ago. I mean, shoot, maybe 20 years ago at this point. But I really like that stuff. You guys know I really like spooky stuff, and the fact that you get an actually spooky co-op game together is a real rare treat. So we played through the first like 2 sections that were released last Halloween. Since then, they've at least released one new area, probably 2 at this point. I don't even know what state the game's in, but I know there's stuff we haven't played yet, and I'm really excited to do that 4-player with Odysseus, Hot Rod, and Deadpool, who you see on this channel and in our community playing a bunch of stuff. But yeah, excited for that. I don't play nearly enough spooky games, considering how much I love horror. Most of my horror consumption is in audio, and I wish that I made more time. I could make more time if I wanted it badly enough, but I'm not exactly swimming in free time right now. So, not the kind I need to play this. So, I am excited for that. If anybody has any recommendations for shorter, like preferably less than 10, even less than 5-hour games, if you can find them, definitely looking for recommendations for those for this last half of the year. As soon as we get into the fall season, it's spooky season, baby. You know.
Although I guess I would throw Card Shark your way. That
Oh,
seems like one that you would like for your downtime
yeah, and I
this
already
year.
own that, so I really should just play it. You know what oh gosh, I bought Triangle Strategy at your request when it was on sale a little while ago. Dude, when am I gonna play that? I keep thinking,
You just need 60 or 70 hours.
oh, savage, savage. Gosh, yeah, I was only looking at the list of upcoming games. I wasn't even looking at the list of stuff I already bought this year that I haven't even played. I'm not even gonna look at it. I can't. But yeah, so that's one spooky game I'm gonna play. Let's bounce back to your Persona 5 Tactica. Tactica? Is that a
Man,
spelling error?
Tactica, yeah, Tactica is actually how it is
I
because
mean,
that's what Atlas does with their games. Yeah, Persona 5 Tactica. I talked about my JRPG Gauntlet. There's just no fucking way. So Persona 5 Tactica is just a tactics version of Persona 5. Uh, I literally have Dealfield Chronicle to play, which is strategy, not exactly the tactics type, but I have that. I have Tactics Ogre, the remake of that to complete this year. That's like 70, easily 70 hours. Like we're talking longer than Triangle Strategy. So there's not space. Also, I have Advanced Wars 1 and 2 still that I
Well,
didn't beat yet.
you didn't beat those?
Like no, so like I don't have room for more tactics games, more strategy games. Period. Uh, Especially from my JRPG list, and I need to complete Persona 5 first anyway, because I know like if we're talking basically a sequel to Persona 5, like I need to play the first one. So yeah, Persona 5 Tactica is on the top of my list for next year. Very early. I got to get it out of the way, but it's sure as hell not happening in 2023.
Yeah, no way. Let's see. I'll bounce over to me. Another old one is Cyberpunk 2077. I bought that game day one on PS five.
It technically would have been 4.
Okay, then it was four,
And
and
it directly came out, yeah.
okay, so I got on PS4 knowing that I would play it, and they're like,
Yeah.
whatever, it doesn't run well, you can refund it. And I was like,
Free
whatever.
upgrade.
Yeah, I was like, I'm getting a free upgrade with this, and if I just wait, exactly like I have, then I'll get the best version of the game to play when I'm ready to play it. So I'm kind of ready to play it. I mean, so now the full game is out and more polished than ever. Even though maybe I should at this point just play it on my PC, but I don't know. Either way, I have that game. I'm excited to play it. I haven't touched it at all. I don't know. I've probably watched like 5 or 10 hours of our friends stream it on Twitch and in Discord. So I know it's for me. I know it checks all these boxes of these decision making RPGs that I like a lot. I just need to make the time to do it. So there's DLC out for that. What is it? Something Liberty
In a
City,
few weeks, Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Liberty. Um, so that game's out. But yeah, I mean, I'm not anywhere near touching a game that big until I've knocked at least two of my current games off their list, and I'm
Yeah.
uh, categorizing Starfield as one of my current games, even though it's not out yet.
At least like I'm playing games that you actually finish. Like you're
Yeah,
playing all games that you don't
I'm
finish
like, what if I just,
until Baldur's Gate, you know?
I mean, I do always like the idea of if it never ends, then I can always still imagine the possibilities, right? So it's like watching a TV show. Like forever, I watched all but the last 4 episodes of King of the Hill. That way, I always had more, no matter what. I always had more episodes to watch. It actually works for me, because then eventually I did watch the 4 episodes and I was like, they were fine. They were equally good to the rest of the show. I think the idea of the fact that they could be just so super amazing um, made not watching them just as good. so playing like 2/3 of the way through games is actually just fine with me. I don't think I need resolution as much as a lot of people do. I'm also the person, most Americans, when they watch movies or TV shows, they want a happy ending where the protagonist gets the thing they wanted, right? Um, I think of the movie The Descent, very spooky movie, one of the scariest movies ever, I think. There were two versions of it. There was an American version that had a happy ending, um, and then the original British question mark version that did not have a happy ending. Spoiler, obviously, but yeah, they descended and they didn't ever make it out, But I like that ending better because I like endings that end like that. Like I don't need stuff tied up in a bow. So like not finishing games to me is actually okay because I don't desire that like happy resolution that I think most people really like. Not to say that I don't like it, don't get me wrong. Um, but I do find that I don't relate to people as much on needing that final resolution. So the idea of leaving games unfinished is usually okay with me. I know, I know. We're two different people. You finished so many games, 19 this year. That's so many games.
And that's way lower than I wanted too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, what else? I've only got one more, and I'll save it here for a minute. I think you've only got one more.
Yeah.
How do you say this one? I'm gonna let you say it so I don't mess it up.
Yeah, the Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 HD remaster, another JRPG. And as I put here in my whole description, this is two JRPGs in one remaster. And again, I'm gonna buy it because these JRPGs on Switch, you have to buy them day one because they're out of print in like 6 months, and they only increase in value from there. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I open my games, I don't fucking keep them in plastic, and
Oh,
I'm probably not gonna sell them unless I grow to like 60 years old and they're worth something. But
the
like,
world will be on fire by then. I wouldn't worry about that.
yeah, I'm not
Uh,
worried.
yep.
And so like Boston Kaitos was one of the big GameCube JRPGs that was absolutely massive, and it is one of the things that made JRPGs actually happen in the West. So uh, that is like it's eating at my brain just knowing that they're coming. I think they're coming. I don't think we have a date, but it's like proposed November, December. Um,
Yeah, it just says
and in
2023 on the website.
Yeah, and in between there's two more remakes. There's Suikoden 1 and 2, remaster of Suikoden 1 and 2 coming to Switch. And then Star Ocean Second Story is a remake, also coming at the end of the year. Like, I literally made that freaking JRPG Gauntlet blog like 2 months before we just got obliterated by all these announcements of old JRPGs coming back, and
Mm-hmm.
then new ones also coming in. And it's been a great year, but it's also been like the worst year to try to do this. I was injured for the first 3 months, so I couldn't really finish enough games then, and now I'm just in a rush. Oh, my camera froze a little
Your
bit.
camera's frozen for some reason. You're just full blown frozen on Discord for some reason.
Interesting. Yeah, I can
Because I'm
see.
I'm still moving. Hello. Uh,
All right, let me just turn off the camera, turn it back on.
huh?
So that's how things work, right?
That's right. Big money. A
It's
whammy.
literally just not showing up on my computer.
Uh, you know what we say to that? Hold on.
Okay, here we go. It's coming. It's coming. That's great.
Oh my god, that was so loud. Sorry, everybody. Let's
I don't know why it froze. I didn't even have a warning on my computer. It just did it.
well, sometimes it'd be
Cool.
like that.
Well, he back. So I'll be trying to complete the second to last RPG on my deathbed. Yeah, no, it's probably going to be the case.
Deathbed. Oh my gosh.
It's stupid how much I want to play these games. But at the same time, some of these I didn't get to play when I really wanted to. So Bot and Kaito's like I was a GameCube kid. I was a GameCube kid, but I didn't get to play through Bot and Kaitos. I didn't get to play through Skies of Arcadia. Like some of the really big games that came out at the time, and now it's like, oh, disposable income, great, yay, my life will be so much better.
Mhm.
And now it's just these. It's come to a head, and I don't know how to get out. So
You know, it's
JRPGs have to get
classic
done.
adulting problem. Now you've got the money but no time. You know, uh, it's a struggle. It's a real struggle.
Yep,
Uh,
and I mean your games that are on this list are getting bigger and bigger though, so that's great.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. The last thing that I have on here is City Skylines 2. This is a game that people told me I would be interested in, but I people will recommend games that are heavy sim to me. There are lots of sim things that I like in survival games, but when it's more purely simulation, I tend to my eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. There's an efficiency to it that I respect and that I do like, but as someone who struggles to finish games like this, if I imagine some of the big sim games like Satisfactory as projects instead of games, I don't think I can finish that project the way that I would be happy with in an amount of time that I would also be happy with. So, like, if I played a game like Satisfactory and made as cool of a thing as I want, I would put 1,000 hours into it, you know. But I simply don't have that, and knowing that I will never make that as efficient as I want, that stops me from even wanting to start a game like that. So I thought that City Skylines was more simulation than it actually is. And since I really enjoyed Mini Motorways earlier this year, um, people told me that I would like City Skylines because City Skylines is or uh, the opposite. Mini Motorways is just a very minimal version of City Skyline, which I understood to some extent, but I didn't really appreciate how much of the extra stuff in City Skylines I would actually be interested in. I thought it would be more simulation stuff where it's all about efficiency and all of these things. And that does matter. But City Skylines 2, which is coming out, I don't know, soon. It's somewhere on the horizon here. I think it's in 2023. Um, I saw a lot more in the recent trailers during Naughty 3 uh, that I liked. I saw a lot more that I liked than I expected. So I am excited to finally play this game that people have been telling me that I would like. Because, like I said, some people recommend sim games where they're like, you would like this. And I'm like, I don't know. Too much simulation. Like, this factory looks great, and I'd love to watch our friend Odysseus play it, or our friend Bensonism play it. But it's a little tougher for me. But I'm excited to kind of jump into this corner of the genre of the builders, of the city builders, and see what I can walk away with. I mean, my newfound love for city building is why I wanted to basically build a city builder in our Frankenstein episode where we designed,
Oh yeah,
uh, a
the
piecemeal
not
of a
Oregon
game.
Trail game.
Right, the not Oregon Trail game. So
Uh,
yeah, I'm excited to try that out.
I did just have to look up what How Long to Beat says for the first game on City Skylines,
Mhm.
and it says 26 to 151 hours.
That's a pretty wide. Oh
So it is
goodness.
it is whatever you make it, sir.
Sure is. Yeah, you get what you give. Oh my gosh, that's such a massive window. Um, maximum is what? What, six times higher? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's crazy. Okay, well that's all I have on this list. Oh, what? The very last thing I didn't mention is Viewfinder. That's the game where you aim your camera, like your old Polaroid camera, at stuff, and it's a perspective game where like you take a picture and you can like walk into the picture, or if you turn your perspective, you can change how you interact with the environment. Think of things like Superliminal, um, or The Witness, stuff like that. Another one I'm not sure if I'm going to play is the Talos Principle 2. The first game looked fine. Um, it looked like a game from that era that is a puzzle solver. But I'm excited to see what they learned from the first one to see if I will like the second one. I'll probably wait for our community to play that before checking back in. But
Same. That one was technically on. It was on the list in my head, but I have the first game that I have to finish because I did buy that on Switch. So
yeah.
I'm with you there.
Okay, well that is a whole lot of games. Lots and lots and lots of games. Even if every single one of those games was only 10 hours long, boy, that would still be a huge undertaking for me personally, to finish those anytime soon. Like I said, if y'all have games that you're hoping to finish soon to make way for others, tell us what those games are. The ones you're working on or the ones you're looking forward to. I know Tears of the Kingdom was mentioned here in chat. I mean, we of course got people playing Baldur's Gate. That'll be going on for a while. Um, there's so much, but it's a great problem to have. So anyway, that is a wrap then on our party topic. And speaking of knocking out some games, we're gonna move on after a short break to play some Baldur's Gate. If you out there are playing Baldur's Gate and you'd like to talk about it, we've got a specific place in our Discord you can find where all Baldur's Gate conversation will live indefinitely. So whether you have questions about the game, you want to share screenshots or stories, you know what? One story to wrap this up. Now that I'm thinking about it, Baldur's Gate is a D&D game, so you roll dice to do everything, and your dice roll will be supplemented by any bonuses or skills that you have or whatever. Well, Odysseus is over there playing a bard, full of charisma, right? And I guess he was telling us the story of he walks up to essentially a burning building, and it's like, what do you do? And the options are, shove the door down, I don't know, climb in a window probably, or the third option, which was basically tell everybody else to put their backs into it. And Odysseus rolled a nat 20 The very best you can do. And his bard character is just like, oh yeah, you guys are doing great. Just put your backs into it. Just standing in the back line, just barking orders. Not, you don't want to get any ash on your boots. Barter's Gate, he says. Oh my gosh, that's too good. But I'm loving hearing all of these little stories from everybody. So if you'd like to share your own or hear some others, hit up our Discord at discord.gg/partyinviteshow. You can also find all of our socials and all that good stuff on our website, partyinvite.games. You can find links to our podcasts on all the platforms, our YouTube, our Twitch, all that stuff. We also have a Facebook group that a lot of people like to use, even if Facebook is a horrible platform. There are a lot of people who we like who are on there, so we still are active on there, even if we don't want to be. But you got to go where your friends are. So that's life. But anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this week's podcast. Everybody can stick around for Baldur's Gate, or you can check. I hope to get this game stream up on YouTube. We typically just get the podcast up, but keep an eye on there. We would love it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because actually, if we get more followers, we can get a custom URL, because we're mostly active here on Twitch. Most of you guys know that. But if we can get 100 subscribers, we can get a custom URL. Then we can just read that out on here. Then it will eventually, it'll be youtube.whatever/partyinviteshow. So help us do that. It's a great way to support the podcast for free. And we appreciate any little bit of support. Okay, well, I've been Tegan, your host. I've been joined by the one and only Vilos Plays Games.
Indeed. That's me.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys in a few minutes. Bye.
See ya.